build vocabulary, students must learn to use information from surrounding text or context to determine the meaning of an unknown word. Authors build a variety of clues into the text to help readers decode and or define difficult words. The purpose of this mini lesson is to show how context clues allow students to improve their comprehension and add new vocabulary to their writing and conversation. Since it is often not practical to use a dictionary while reading, this is a skill that students need to employ as they encounter unfamiliar words. The objectives of this lesson are: students will use various context clues within text to decode and or define highlighted vocabulary words encountered within the reading passage, and students will use meanings derived from the context clues within the reading passage to improve their comprehension of the text. Today, you'll be learning about context clues. Have you heard about context clues before, Darren? Marjani?
Yes, miss.
When did you?
In standard 2.
Do you remember anything about context clues?
No, miss.
Okay. Danny? No. Well, today we are going to learn about context clues. I will show you how to use it, and you guys will get an opportunity to practice it on your own. Okay, sometimes when we read, we often come across words that maybe we can pronounce it, we can read it, but we don't understand what it means. Have that ever occurred to you? Yes. So, in order to find out what that word means, we can read the sentence before it, that unknown word, and read the sentence after it. And maybe that will give us a clue about what that word means. And that is called using context clues within that text to find out the definition of what that word means. So that is what context clues basically is. Context clues. Context clues gives a hint that the author gives to figure out what the meaning of that word is within that sentence. I will give you now a copy of a short passage and within this passage you will see that I have some words highlighted. The highlighted words are the unknown words within this passage that we will use for the context clue, to use for context clue. I will stop whenever I reach at a highlighted word, and I will show you how you use clues within that sentence to find out what the word means. I will read this short passage aloud, and you must follow as I read. Okay? The last time I journeyed to the store to procure new tennis shoes, I discovered I had a real dilemma or problem. Within that sentence just now, the highlighted word was procure. Now, we have steps that we must follow to help us figure out how to use context clues. And if you look on the board behind me, you will see I have 4 steps. Let's read them aloud and then we'll go back to the sentence and I will show you how to use those 4 steps to figure out what the word procure means. We'll use this chart on the board to go through the steps for context clues. If you notice, the first step says, first, you read the entire sentence that contains the unknown word. Then, you will reread the sentence that comes before the unknown word, and you will read the sentence after the unknown word. Next, you will think about the meaning of the text, meaning you will think about the words within the sentence, the meaning of the text. Then finally, you'll try to identify what the unknown word is based on the meaning of the text. So I will now do this for the word procure. I will model this for you. I journeyed to the store to procure new tennis. I discovered I had a real dilemma or problem. None of the shoes seemed to provide me the comfortable fit that I wanted. So now within the sentence, what word will help me to find out what procure means? Let me see. The last time I journeyed to the store to procure new tennis, I discovered I had a real dilemma or problem. None of the shoes seemed to provide me the comfortable fit that I wanted. Now the word that I think will help me to identify what procure means is store and new tennis. So I'll underline store and new tennis. Store and new tennis shoes. Store and new tennis shoes. Now, if I am going to a store and I am going to get new tennis, what do I think procure means? Well, I think procure means to buy. So, on my chart to the bottom, I have the word procure, I have I think it means, and I have these words help me. So under the column that says these words help me, I will write my words that help me to come up with the definition of procure. So under this column, I'll write store and new tennis shoes. See? Now to the middle, I think it means I will write that procure means buy. Now, let's replace the word procure with buy to see if that makes sense. The last time I journeyed to the store to buy new tennis shoes, I discovered I had a real dilemma or problem. Does that sound correct? Does that word, do you think that word means buy, or it could also mean purchase? Isn't that so? Another word for buy is purchase, so I could have also used purchase. So do you understand what I did just now? I used the word store and new tennis to come up with the definition of procure. So I don't have a dictionary. So in reality, when you're reading something, maybe I'm in the bus or I'm traveling with my parents in our car, I don't always have a dictionary on me. So that's why we use context clues to find out what a word might be in a sentence. We use the clues around that word to come up with the definition of the word that is unknown. That is what context clues does. Do you understand? Let's move on then to the next word that was highlighted. Another word that was highlighted in that same sentence was dilemma. So I'll read that sentence once more. The last time I journeyed to the store to procure new tennis shoes, I discovered I had a real dilemma or problem. I'll read the sentence that comes after now, that unknown word dilemma. None of the shoes seem to provide me the comfortable fit that I wanted. Now, I am going to think about the meaning of the text. Dilemma. What does dilemma mean? No. What words in this sentence will let me come up with the definition of dilemma? I think I discovered I had a problem will help me to come up with the definition of the word dilemma. Now, I'll write in my chart these words. Are you seeing?
Yes.
Okay. What do I think dilemma means? It's stated right in that sentence. A problem. So I'll write, I think dilemma means problem. Now, let's look in the sentence and we're going to replace dilemma with the word problem. The last time I journeyed to the store to procure new tennis shoes, I discovered I had a real problem. So, dilemma definition was given right within that sentence because the author said, I discovered I had a real dilemma or problem. He gave the definition of dilemma within that same sentence. Now let's move on. So we've identified what the unknown word was. None of the shoes seemed to provide me the comfortable fit that I wanted. Apparently, I had developed corns and bunions on my feet over the years. Because my feet were misshapen, all of the shoes were too tight. The highlighted word now is corn and bunion. What words in this sentence has to do with something with my feet. Do you think so?
Yes, ma'am.
And my feet were now misshapen. Shoes were too tight. So those are the words that I will put under the column. These words help me. So I'll write it in. My feet misshapen. Shoes were too tight. No. Corns and bunions. What do I think corns and bunions are? Corns and bunions would be something that happens to my feet to make it misshapen. That's what I would think corns and bunions do. So I would say that corns and bunion is something that goes on my feet. Now, let's try the last one together. The salesman suggested that I visit the podiatrist, who would be able to examine my feet and come up with an appropriate treatment for the corns and bunions. Now let's look at the sentence before the sentence that has in the unknown word podiatrist, and that sentence will be, because my feet were now misshapen, all of the shoes were too tight. The salesman suggested that I visit a podiatrist who would be able to examine my feet and come up with an appropriate treatment for the corns and bunions. The sentence after the sentence that has in the unknown word now is, following the podiatrist therapy, my feet are no longer a problem when I buy shoes. Now, your task now is to highlight or underline the words within that sentence that would help you that are the clues that help you to come up with the definition of the word podiatrist. And then you will write under, I think it means, the definition of the word podiatrist. So you can start that now. It says, I think it means. So you write under that column, what do you think podiatrist means? Okay, now let's see what you came up with. Now, Darren, what did you put under the column "These words help me"?
I put examine my feet and appropriate treatment.
Very good. And so what did you think podiatrist means?
I think it means a doctor.
A doctor. Marjani, what words did you put under the column, the words, "These words help me"? Sorry.
I put suggested that I visit and able to examine my feet.
And what did you have under the column "I think it means"?
Doctor.
You came up with doctor. Danny, what did you put under "These words help me"? The column "These words help me."
Put visit and examine.
Examine. Visit and examine. And what did you put under the column "I think it means"?
I put doctor.
A doctor. You all came up with the same definition of what you think podiatrist means. You all said it means a doctor. Well, for me, under my column that said "These words help me," I had feet, therapy, and visit. And under "I think it means," I have the same thing as you. I have doctor, but I had something added on to doctor. I said a doctor that specializes with the feet. Don't you think so? That it's a doctor that specializes with the feet. You're not wrong for saying a doctor. A doctor is correct. But I believe that he specializes with the feet because the words in the sentence are talking about feet. So I said that the person specializes in the feet. What do you think? Oh, Marjani said that was too long to write. But you all did good for our practice that we had together. Now, let's try one whereby you will do it on your own, individually. I'll give you another passage. This one is a little bit longer and it's entitled "Earthquakes, Movement of the Earth's Crust." Within that passage, I also have 4 words highlighted. When you come over the unknown word that is highlighted, I want you to follow the same 4 steps that I modeled for you. Remember, we went through each word step by step and we came up with the definition of the word. It might look a little bit challenging, but I know you guys can do it. So for each word, I want you to first read the entire sentence that contains that unknown word. Then you're going to reread the sentence that came before the sentence with that unknown word, and you're going to read the sentence that comes after that unknown word. Remember, I did that for you. Then you're going to think about the meaning of the text. And lastly, you're going to try to identify what the word means. Oh, I forgot to give you one thing. I also did a chart for that. So you're going to be word detectives in this practice. I have the word under the word column. I have "I think it means," and I have context clues that have helped me define the word. So when you're doing your individual practice, I will be doing it as well, and we will see what we come up with together at the end. So You can begin reading the passage. In there for me, whenever I did that, I underline the words in the passage that you choose to put in context clues that help you define the word.
Remember, these are the highlighted words. This is in the sentence. The sentence goes from here to here. So this is a sentence that has in the highlighted words. You read one before this, so this is a sentence to here. You read the sentence before, and then you read the sentence after, and that will give you the context clue.
Okay, let's go over now the first word, ruptures. Based on the steps that you had followed, what do you think ruptures means? Now, I'll ask you to tell me what context clues help you to define the word from under that column, and then you will tell me what do you think the word ruptures means. I'll start with Darren, then we'll go right down. What do you think, what are the words that you use to define the word rupture?
Release and shape.
You use release and shape. Let me write that down. Release and shape. So what did you come up with for rupture? You came up with crack. Marjani? What context clues did you use?
I use stress and the fall.
Stress on the fall. Go ahead.
And ground start to shake.
And ground start to shake. And what did you came up with?
To break or to come apart.
To break or
Come apart.
to come apart. Next person, Darren. Danny, sorry.
You were there a little bit like this.
Release and shape.
Release and shape. You would have the same thing. And what did you have? Break. Okay. So rupture would mean to break. When you hear something rupture, it means to break. So Danny and Marjani came up with the correct definition of the word rupture. It means to break. It could also mean to crack as well. So you're not wrong also, Darren. But now let's move on to destruction. That's a little harder. What words did you use, what context clues I should say did you use to come up with the definition of the word destruction?
I use cause and huge.
I didn't hear you.
Huge.
Cause and huge. Okay. Cause and huge. And what definition did you have for destruction? He has damage. Next person, Marjani.
I use cause, huge, and building collapse.
Cause huge and buildings collapse. And what did you came up with?
To destroy something.
Very good. To destroy something. That's also correct. And Danny? You used crack. And what definition did you come up with? Damage. So you all came up with damage or to destroy, which is correct. Now let's move on to collapse. What context clues did you use, Danny, to come up with the definition of the word collapse? Oh, sorry, Darren. We used break. He used break and he says he thinks collapse means to fall down. That is correct. Marjani?
I use really start to crack and break. I think it means to fall.
To fall, yes, that's correct. And Danny? That is fell, fall down. Fall is correct. And the last one, predict. Darren, what context clues did you use to come up with the definition of the word predict?
I use exact and which.
Exactly.
I think it means tell.
Predict means to tell. Okay. Marjani, what context clues did you use?
I use future earthquake.
Future earthquakes.
And I think it means to tell something will happen before it happens.
Very good. To tell something will happen before it happens. Danny?
I use it. And I think it means find out.
To find out. Date, you said? He said he used date and he thinks it means to find out. All of those are correct and that will give you the definition of what predict means. So now I want you to tell me, what do you think of context clues? Do you think it helps you, or do you think that it's hard for you to tell what a word means using clues within the text? What do you think? Do you think context clues helps you when you're reading to find out what unknown words mean, or you think it's difficult to use? Darren? You think it's easy to use? Why? Did it help you just now to find out what those words mean? Before, if I just gave you the passage and I told you, Darren, read the passage and tell me what those words meant, would you be able to tell me what those words meant? So you all see whereby using context clues helps you to find out the definition of a word because it gives you a hint. And that is the purpose of context clues. It gives you a hint, and from that hint you can tell what that word, that unknown word I should say, that you're having difficulties with means. So did you enjoy the lesson, and would you use this strategy when you're reading something and aren't certain, but you can read that word but you're not certain of what that word means? Would you be able to remember those steps and go through that process? Are you sure? So if I give you another activity right now, would you be able to practice those 4 steps and find out the definition of other words? Okay, well, I'm glad that you were able to find out the definitions of those unknown words within the passage earthquakes, movement of the earth's crust. And I want you to always remember that context clues are like hints, okay? Danny, Darren, sorry, Danny, Darren. Are you okay with that? Sorry, Johnny.
Yes, miss.